What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be taking a closer look at my fridge. When I was making the decision of what fridge to buy, I just didn't find a lot of information beyond the Dometic fridges, which are very popular, and those were all just way too big or a lot more space than what I needed as a solo traveler. So I kind of took a leap of faith and I bought this fridge and could not be happier with it. So I wanted to make a video to share what I love about it and the features that are there to help inform you guys based on what features you're looking for if this can meet your needs, because I could not be happier and I want to show you guys what it's all about. So the first thing that I really love about this company and this fridge is they are much smaller. They have much smaller models than some of the other fridge companies. In particular, the one that I have is a 12.8 liter fridge, which is the smallest that they have. They also have 20 liters, which is a little bit bigger. And when you do that, you actually get this dual compartment divider where you can have one side be a fridge and the other side be a freezer. In this case, you just get one singular compartment, but the thing is the range of temperature is pretty incredible. You can go from like 0 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So I can set that and change it from being a fridge one day and change it to a freezer if I want to keep something a little bit cooler. Another really cool feature is that it has two different modes. They're called Max Mode and Eco Mode. Max Mode, the system will do whatever it needs in order to hold the temperature that you've set it at. So if I have it at 41 degrees, come hell or high water, if I'm driving through the desert or wherever I am, it's going to just be really power hungry and it's going to do everything it can to keep it at that temperature. That's great if you have it like at a freezer temperature and you really need it to stay cold, but it is going to consume power faster if you're parked and running off the starter battery or auxiliary batteries. The Eco Mode, which is much more power friendly, will do what it can to keep that temperature within reason and within a certain level of power consumption. So it's just going to be a lot more efficient and not be as concerned about keeping it held to a really, really tight temperature. You might turn it on, or you might look at the temperature and see it's actually a little bit colder or a little bit warmer, and that's because it's like cooling itself to a certain degree and then turning itself off and allowing itself to like kind of warm up, but it allows it to be a little bit more flexible, more of like a buffer, so that it doesn't consume as much power and your car battery can last longer if that's the way that you're powering it. The controls in the front of the fridge are pretty intuitive. We've got the lock button here. You just click and hold that to allow all of the other settings to be changed. By pressing the up and down arrows, you're going to be able to change the temperature that your fridge is at. And then by tapping the settings button, you're going to be changing the mode, switching between that max and eco mode that I described. Then you can also press and hold the on-off switch, or the on-off button, and that will turn your fridge on and off. And then you can click and hold the lock button again to hold those settings so that they're not going to be changed by anything. So the really cool thing about this fridge is it's Bluetooth enabled, which means that from the front seat, I can change any and all of the settings that I described to you. So I can, if it's at 41 degrees in fridge mode, but I'm really just thinking I want to get ice cream at the next gas station, I can from the front seat change it down to 32 degrees or whatever you want for the freezer. And I can also switch it between eco and max mode, so that if I know that I'm coming up on parking and I just don't want to forget to turn it off of max mode, I can do all of that, from the front seat or from anywhere really. It just makes it really convenient, like a little remote control for your fridge. The other thing I love about this fridge is all of the flexibility surrounding the electrical system. So the way that I've actually got it hooked up here is to my starter battery. So even though my car is off, the fridge will run off of the starter battery to a certain amount, so to a certain voltage level, and you can set that voltage level in the Bluetooth app. It will turn itself off when it reaches a certain threshold that you set. You can either set low, medium, or high battery protection. So high battery protection being that you're leaving more charge on your starter car battery, and low being letting it dip. Maybe not dangerously low, but if you have a little bit of a sensitive or a little iffy battery, you might not want to be draining it that low. But basically, even in the absence of driving around and charging that starter battery, I've had the fridge last upwards of a week in like temperate climates. In the desert, it didn't last more than a couple of days, but that was just because I wasn't driving anywhere and wasn't able to charge my car battery. So after about 2 days, it shut itself off, and then I just had to live with whatever food I had. The other great thing is you can still plug this into if you have any auxiliary batteries. I don't do that just because I don't have a super robust electrical system, and this would drain my battery in probably less than a day, and I just want to be able to use my battery to power my lights and my fans and stuff instead. But totally dependent on what electrical system you have, I just know it works best for me to have it plugged into my car. The other really great thing about this electrical system is the fact that despite it being a 12-volt DC fridge, which is compatible with car batteries, you can actually use the adapter that ICECO provides you. It's got an inverter on it, and you can plug it right into a normal AC outlet. So if you are hanging out somewhere for a couple days and just want to bring it inside and not have your food in the car, or like me, if I'm not traveling all the time, I'm a student, and so I actually use this as an extra mini fridge in my room. I keep extra food items and such, and it's so small and compact, it's just nice to have a little extra space. I think there's a lot of tension or a lot of controversy in the van life community whether or not you actually need a fridge. I know a lot of people that live without it, but for me, I just love making big batches of food and then being able to refrigerate it and keep it good for the next day, so I don't have to be like cooking every single day, especially if I'm trying to be like out and about and a little bit more outside rather than in cooking. So just having the ability to keep things cool and keep things preserved for a couple extra days beyond what they would just last in the van is great. Another thing is just any kind of produce, especially if you're in a really hot climate, like for the weeks that I was in the desert. It was just really nice to know that I had a couple extra days if I wasn't able to eat all my produce when I was in town and at the grocery store. Alright, thanks guys for watching. I hope that this was helpful. Like I said, I hadn't found anyone describing this fridge and this like make and model in particular, so I hope that this was helpful. If you have any other questions about this brand in particular, just drop your questions and comments down below, and would be happy to engage down there and have a conversation. If you found this video to be helpful, give this video a like, and if you want to follow along for more videos about any of the gadgets and features and build out that I did for the van, give us a subscribe, and would love to have you along for the ride. Until then, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.